to the Sisaundra Show. Y'all, we are here jamming to the sounds of For the Culture. Y'all are just funky. My goodness. Listen, like my late great cousin John Lewis once said, you have to be ready to get into some good trouble, necessary trouble. And my next guest today embodies that to a T. He is a DE&I consultant with over 20 years of experience and is the president of Empowered Inclusion. Y'all, please help me welcome Mr. Darrell Butler. Yeah, you better come on. Hey. Y'all got some entrances for me today. I love it. Please have a seat. It's so great to see you today.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm fantastic. How about you?
Fantastic.
The year just off to a new start, and
2023. Let's do it.
Hey, we in there.
Let's do it.
So listen, tell us a little bit about Empowered Inclusion.
Fantastic. So yeah, Empowered Inclusion, we have been around for 22 years.
Wow.
Just changed the name, new branding. We were Butler Consulting Group, BC Innovations. Long story to that. We can talk about that another day. But Empowered Inclusion really focuses on a new way of looking at DEI. So most people talk about DEI as diversity, equity
and inclusion.
We look at it as the D is diversity, equity, inclusion. So that's the diversity part that we focus on. RE is empowerment. And then the I is work-life integration. So the I for integration. And our approach there is to look at the whole person that shows up into the workplace. And as a whole person approach, we're looking at diversity, empowerment, and the work-life integration of that person.
That's powerful. That's good stuff. So personal empowerment consulting through the lenses of milestone historical events of the African-American experience is what you offer your clients?
Yeah, so I would say not just the African-American experience, I would say the experience of whatever that is for you.
For them, okay.
So for me, it just so happens to—
Because we're talking about inclusion, so everybody.
Inclusion.
Okay,
Exactly, right. So that's the empowered inclusion part of it all. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. So is diversity in the workplace increasing or decreasing?
2020, summer of 2020, with after the killing of George Floyd, everything went really big on this DE&I conversation. I've been in the space since 2000. Well, as a consultant since 2001. I've been in the space for 25 years though, because I was actually I was leading a diversity effort in big corporate back in the 90s. So this is before it was a big thing and all of that. But summer 2020, everyone, starts throwing out the Black Lives Matter letters to their employees and all that. Then the phone calls came, and a huge increase in the business. I mean, phenomenally huge.
That's great.
It was great.
And thus the name change.
And well, part of that, but the other challenge with that was there was a lot of performative art that came with the 2020 increase. And so people are calling me saying, hey, we got to do something. We want to do some training. And my first question is, well, where does the training fit into your overall strategy?
Right. And had they thought about that? They didn't think about that. No. So you had to help them create that as well.
Exactly.
Interesting.
So we have a whole strategic approach to what we do with our clients.
That's so awesome. So when you're speaking to your audience, what advice do you give in regard to racism or at times being the only minority in the workplace?
Yeah, so being the only is unfortunately still a thing.
It is.
It is still a thing, especially as you get higher up in the organization.
Yes.
Our focus is this. It's whatever difference you're bringing that makes who you are, we call those core identities. So whatever your thing is that you're bringing to the table, bring that in your authentic self and be unapologetic about it. I've said in the C-suites across many organizations, across industries for the last 20 years, I am unapologetically Black.
That's powerful.
And you got
and
white guys in the C-suite.
And what kind of response do you get to that?
And that's the thing though, right? Because you guys got white guys in the C-suite, they're like, oh, did he just say that? Okay.
Yes.
And then, but what comes with that, right? So what I'm bringing with that is a perspective that you may not get from the next person that does not look like me or has not had the experiences that I've had. With that, then, if we create this environment where we are empowered to show up as our authentic selves, the organization is going to benefit.
Yes, no, that's true.
Because now I'm giving ideas and I've got tons of examples back in my corporate days where I shifted the conversation through the lenses of being the African American in the room.
The only African American.
Sometimes the only.
Sometimes
Oftentimes the only.
Wow.
Yes.
So, do you have any events coming up, Darrell?
Well, let's see. Most of my events are through organizations. So I've got, it's not a lot of
So they
open
bring you
They bring
in,
me
everything is
exactly.
private, and you can talk to
That's
their
exactly it,
employees.
right. Yes,
Interesting.
yes,
So that's
yeah.
nothing that you would post, and we can come in and see how you work. We would need to bring you, y'all need to hire him, tell your bosses.
There is an event coming up locally called Get Real. It's a collaboration of 4, I think, organizations that are in the commercial real estate space. So they have me coming in on February the 9th, I believe it is, locally. I think it's at the UCF Center downtown.
Okay, wonderful.
And I'm going to do my standard program, my core program, which is respecting differences in the workplace, respecting differences of cultural competence, I should say.
Because we do work with so many different cultures within the workplace that we need to try to understand how they work so that we can all get along.
Our
Right?
tagline is making workplace tension productive. People say, how do you do that?
How do you do that?
Well,
You're going to give us all the secrets. Come on.
Well, think about this. Have you ever worked with that person who kind of get on your nerves a little bit?
Oh, never.
Never, of course. Not here. Not here.
Have y'all
not
ever
here.
worked with anybody that get on y'all nerves?
Past jobs. Past jobs. I'm talking about.
past
Got an
jobs.
afro.
Of course.
Everything's good at afro.
Everything.
Come
We
on
love
now.
what we do
Come
here.
on now.
Everybody's
But for those
family.
people who are experiencing that natural diversity tension, that's the key. It's diversity tension is a natural thing. The question is, where do you allow that natural diversity tension to go? Do you allow it to go to constructive conflict or destructive conflict? Most of us are allowing it to naturally default to destructive conflict, and then we end up with unproductive situations. That could be at home, that could be at the workplace, that could be at the family reunion, whatever have you. So our approach is to give you tips and tools on how to move that natural diversity tension to constructive conflict. So then we get to productivity and innovation and creativity. You cannot get to creativity without having some tension.
That's true.
You can't do it.
It's true. If we work well under pressure, then I guess that tension would be some of that pressure that allows us to shine bright like a diamond.
Yeah. Well, the tricky part about the working well under pressure is our fast brain, we're talking about that in unconscious bias, our fast brain under pressure really jumps to judging people. And that's when we get into the outcome of destructive conflict.
Wow.
So we want to get really skilled at this concept of, okay, let me manage this natural diversity tension back down to this way in which I can make it a productive outcome.
Interesting. I love it. Y'all better hire him. So listen, let's talk about, before we leave, gaslighting in the workplace.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? If you're going in and that's something you realize is a concern, what advice do you give?
I take it back to, what are the objectives of the organization? And I can tie any of this work back to, how do we make this organization better? So don't give me the fluff and all that stuff, and send me down roads like, stop woke act as an example here in Florida.
Oh my goodness, let's not get into that.
Ooh, come on now.
A whole nother,
That's a whole nother thing.
Jesus.
But so if you think about, when we look at things like trying to take the conversation of diversity to this discussion of, we're trying to make white people feel bad, as an example. No, what we're trying to do in this conversation of diversity is to simply say, we all have differences. Our differences will bring tension differently.
Yes.
Let's learn how to work through that tension. And that's a conversation that anyone can have and benefit from. I have people coming into my classes and to my learning experiences, where they're saying, I don't want to be here. And I make an assumption that 50% of the people don't want to be in the class.
Don't want to be in your class, correct.
By the time they're finished, whether we got 45 minutes, 2 hours, or 3 hours, or back in the day before COVID, we had 8 hours. But nowadays we don't have that anymore.
Correct.
But anyway, whatever time we have with them, 95% of people who come out of our conversations, of our learning experiences, say this was not only enjoyable and also beneficial. So we make it a little fun.
It's very enlightening.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. And they're like, well, can my spouse come next time?
Oh, wow. That's so great.
Oh, yes, it's fantastic.
That's great.
Yes,
that means you're having an incredible impact on them, and they want to bring it into their home. That speaks volumes.
Definitely.
Darrell, thank you so much for sharing this information and time with me. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Always.
I wish you continued success.